Think you can name the greatest Chevys ever? Really? I may change your mind by the end of this video. So gas up, click into your racing harness, because we are going to take a look at 5 of the greatest Chevys ever made on today's episode of 5 Weird Things. Welcome to the channel. First, please like, subscribe, share the channel. Now, when it comes to cars, you mention the greatest of anything, you're going to get a lot of opinions. So I decided to open up a whole can of worms and research the 5 greatest Chevys of all time based on several websites and a few different criteria of my own. Now watch the video, then tell me how I did or what I missed down in the comments. All right, let's get into it. First, the things we all need to know. Chevrolet, or Chevy for those who like to keep things short and snappy, is one of the most iconic American car brands. Born in 1911 and named after its Swiss racing car driving co-founder, Louis Chevrolet, Chevy has spent over a century trying to make cars for people who like their vehicles as tough as their backyard barbecues. Now, from the 1930s to today, Chevy has been all about innovation. From the introduction of the small block V8, the engine that made America's highways sound like music, to the creation of the Chevy Volt, which made hybrid cars slightly less boring. As for competitors, there are plenty. Ford, with its Mustang swagger and the F-150 dominance, has been Chevy's rival since the dawn of muscle cars. Then there's Dodge, always trying to build something that can scare you. Hello, Hellcat. And let's not forget Toyota, which doesn't mind luring folks away with its reliability and the occasional Corolla, which somehow survives the apocalypse. In short, Chevy has been playing the automotive game with plenty of power, a few flashy moves, and a healthy amount of competition. Everybody got that? Good. Weird thing number 5. The 1957 Chevy Bel Air. This is not just a car, it is a rolling monument to the 1950s. Dipped in chrome and sprinkled with red, white, and blue swagger. If you could bottle jukebox music, soda fountains, and poodle skirts, and then put wheels on it, you would get the 1957 Chevy Bel Air. With its rocket-inspired tail fins, gold badging, and more chrome than a Vegas lounge act, this car wasn't designed to sneak around through traffic. It was made to turn heads, steal dates, and maybe win a drag race on Saturday night. It practically came with its own leather jacket and a comb. Chevy offered the Bel Air in several trims, but the most powerful factory configuration was equipped with a 283 cubic inch V8 with fuel injection, which was a huge deal at the time. Officially rated at 283 horsepower. It was the magical 1 horsepower per cubic inch combo that made gearheads of the day break into spontaneous sock hops. And yes, fuel injection in the 1950s. That's like giving a jukebox Spotify or your grandfather a TikTok account. The 1957 Bel Air didn't just look fast, it was fast, especially when it showed up at the local diner and left with everybody's attention, maybe your date. It became the symbol of post-war American optimism, big, bold, and beautifully over the top. Even now, the 57 Bel Air isn't just remembered, it's revered. It's not just a car, it is a time machine with white walls. Weird thing number 4. The 1963 Chevy Corvette Stingray split window coupe. This wasn't just a car, it was Chevy standing up and saying, why yes, we can build something that looks better than an Italian sculpture and is faster than your uncle's hot rod. This was the first year of the second generation Corvette, and let's be honest, Chevy didn't just redesign the Vette, they gave it a gym membership, a tailor, and a starring role in its own spy movie. The most iconic feature, that split rear window. Gorgeous, impractical, and completely unnecessary. In other words, perfect. Visibility was for people who were not driving a car that looked like a rocket-powered Stingray. It was a design choice that made no sense, which made it legendary. The 63 model wasn't just a pretty face though. Underneath those curves was a new chassis, independent rear suspension, and a choice of engines, topping out with the fuel-injected 327-inch V8 pushing 360 horsepower. That is a lot of punch for something that looks like it could flirt with you at a gas station. The 63 Stingray was the first Corvette that truly said, yes, I'm a sports car. No, I will not apologize for that. It handled better, looked sharper, and made competitors sweat like they were in a gym class. Its legacy? Let's just say the 63 split window is now one of the most sought after collector cars on the planet. Chevy only made that window design 1 year, because apparently perfection is too much for some people. Weird thing number 3. The 1970 Chevrolet Chevelle SS 454 LS6. This was not just a muscle car, it was Chevy's way of saying, let's see how close we can get to building a drag strip on wheels from the factory. Subtle? Absolutely not. Necessary? Also no. Glorious? Abso-fucking-lutely. Under the hood sat the now legendary 454 LS6 V8, officially rated at 450 horsepower, though unofficially it was probably more, because truth and dyno sheets had a casual relationship in the 1970s. This was not an engine, it was a barely restrained monster with a fondness for melting tires and eating small block Mustangs for breakfast. 0 to 60, 5.4 seconds. Quarter mile, low 13s, if you could keep the rear tires from turning into smoke signals. It was the kind of power that made your passengers go quiet and your insurance agent very nervous. And the look? Bold stripes, cowl induction hood, and enough presence to make lesser cars pull over out of respect. It didn't whisper performance, it shouted it across parking lots while flexing its chrome. The Chevelle SS 454 LS6 set a new tone for American muscle. More power, less pretense, and the kind of acceleration that made your hairstyle optional. It was the peak of factory-built absurdity, just before the fuel crisis and insurance companies ruined the party. Today, it's a holy grail of muscle cars. Back then, it was just a Chevy with enough horsepower to rearrange your internal organs. Weird thing number 2. The 1984 to 1996 Corvette ZR1. Could not just choose 1 year. This is the Corvette we're talking about, and the ZR1 was a special thing. This was not just a Corvette. It was a Corvette that went off to military school, got an engineering degree, and came back with a chip on its shoulder and something to prove. Nicknamed King of the Hill, the ZR1 was Chevy's way of saying, hey Europe, your overpriced supercars are cute, now hold my beer. The ZR1 was the result of a GM Lotus collaboration, because when you want to terrify Porsche drivers, you call the British. The heart of this beast was the LT5, a 5.7-liter DOHC V8 that produced 375 horsepower, later bumped up to 405. It revved like a European exotic, but still grumbled like a good American should. Performance? It did 0 to 60 in just over 4 seconds, and it could top 180 miles an hour. That's not a sports car, that's a land missile with pop-up headlights. And it could do it reliably, day after day, without bursting into flames like some of its Italian rivals. What made the ZR1 even cooler was that from the outside it looked almost normal, just a slightly wider rear end. It was the undercover agent of the sports car world, mild-mannered until you put your foot down and suddenly found yourself time traveling. The ZR1 wasn't just fast, it was high-tech for its time, with adjustable ride control and a digital dashboard that looked like it was stolen from a fighter jet. Today it's a legend. Back then it was the Corvette that made even Ferrari nervous, and it didn't even need a European accent to do it. And finally, weird thing number 1. The 1955 Chevy 150, 210, and Bel Air. Now they kicked off what car enthusiasts reverently called the Tri-5 era, a glorious trio of model years, 1955 to 1957, when Chevy decided to take American car design, add some rocket-age flair, sprinkle in V8 muscle, and turn it all into rolling pieces of art. It was a time when tail fins were climbing, chrome was multiplying, and subtlety had left the building. The 1955 model was the first of the bunch. And boy, did it make an entrance. It introduced Chevy's brand new 265 small block V8, which went on to become one of the most influential engines in automotive history. Before this, Chevys were fine. After this, Chevys were fast. It was like watching Clark Kent discover he could fly. So let's break it down. Now the 150 was the base no-frills version. Think of it as the humble workhorse. Great if you wanted a car and not a conversation starter. The 210 sat in the middle, a little more flair, a little more chrome, the Goldilocks option. The Bel Air, This was the one you bought if you wanted to be seen, admired, and possibly applauded when pulled into the drive-in. Each year in the Tri-5 era refined the formula, but 55 was the birth of cool. It combined conservative post-war styling with just enough jet-age bravado to make people stare. It was the start of Chevy's reign in the hearts of hot rodders, teenagers, and nostalgic boomers everywhere. In short, the 55 Chevy was not just a car, it was a statement. We have V8s now. Buckle up, world. Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope it was nostalgic. I hope you loved it. Like a clip from American Graffiti. Do me a favor, watch more of the videos. Be sure to check out my shorts, and take care. Have a great day.